Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the rounding out of the legal team for the judge in Wisconsin, whom Trump has really Pam Bondi, but they're one and the same, and Kash Patel openly and notoriously arrested and charged with, on pretty dubious facts, harboring or trying to obstruct the arrest of an illegal immigrant who was there, showing up on Judge Dugan's criminal docket on a domestic violence charge, first criminal charge in either the States or El Salvador, shows up and they want to arrest him. There's a team of 6 there. She says, not in my courtroom, shepherds him out through the jury room, which leads right into the hall where right away feds see him, and then the 6 join up as a team, arrest him in front of the courthouse after a chase that goes the length of the courthouse. Okay, Paul Clement. Who is he, and does it matter that he's on the team? So first, he is, leaving liberal and conservative aside, one of the very, very, very best, if not the best, appellate advocates in the country. He's a former Solicitor General. I can tell you literally personally that justices of the Supreme Court think he is amazing and as good as it gets. I've argued against him, and I clerked for the same justice. He famously does all his arguments without notes. And, Judge Dugan, who I think contemplates having certain constitutional claims on appeal. You can't do this. This is a violation of the First Amendment. You should dismiss this case and the like. Now, the strongest claims are really on the facts here, and that they can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and they really shouldn't have, frog walked her with arresting her at the courthouse, try to make an example of her, that Bondi acted way inappropriately, as did Patel, in saying all these things that basically assumed her guilt. So it was really the execution that was terrible, but Clement is now on board for the appellate stuff, and she's been suspended, not because of the charges, but sort of on road. It's just too hard for her to, with this shadow over her, to continue to do her work. So she's been suspended while this runs its course. Maybe there's a trial, which I predict she would win. There would not be a conviction anyway on these charges, and the appellate stuff goes away. But everybody takes note that Paul Clement is on the team. So he's first a great advocate, period. Wherever he is just, very strong. And he's shown up a couple different places, and generally on the good guy side. He's a Republican who, I think is revolted by the Trump authoritarian power grab, as are other Republicans like Peter Keisler, the acting attorney general, who is a never Trumper now. I think has even surrendered his party affiliation, but not Clement. Solid Republican. He was the Solicitor General. He was a very close advisor to Attorney General John Ashcroft, both in the Senate and when Ashcroft was Attorney General. So he knows the department. So point 2. Point 1, great advocate. Everybody will stand up and take notice. Point 2, very solid Republican, very much along the lines of other Republicans who have said this is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. It's an existential issue of power abuse by the executive on, other times, other days. I might be for a somewhat expanded executive power, but this guy is a friggin' menace to the Constitution. And I, Paul Clement, am putting my, good reputation on the line. By the way, we've seen him before. He was the one who the judge in the New York mayor case appointed to advise him. He came in with a long scholarly treatise of sorts for the New York judge, saying you can, even though the DOJ is trying to say dismiss the case against the mayor without prejudice, so we can always bring it back. You can do it with prejudice, and the judge there followed his advice to the letter. Similarly here, it's just a very significant deal that he's on the case at all, and he's part of the appellate team. And it's not because there are some, screaming legal constitutional issues. It is probably unconstitutional, and they certainly overplayed their hand, and I think they're going to really wind up with egg on their face. Excuse that's somewhat mixed metaphor, but I think it's right. It'll be egg on their face. But Clement's participation here is more sort of at the general level and has the impact of saying, Paul Clement thinks this is wrong. Paul Clement wants to represent this client. Paul Clement wants to make the arguments on appeal if and when they are made. It's that on its own that speaks volumes. We may or may not see what he has to say on appeal. If this goes on appeal from Milwaukee, where she's a judge, up to, I want to say, the Seventh Circuit, and then the Supreme Court. Nobody's more respected than Clement at both the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court level. But it's really now, and he knows it, by the way. He left the big firm he was at years ago because they didn't want to represent certain conservatives, and he thought that was a real violation of basic, ethical and just practical concerns of what it means to be a lawyer and practice law. So, for example, I'm sure he would be dead set against the reprisals that Trump has done here to law firms because of whom they represented. He would see that as grotesque, and if not, well, probably unconstitutional, but anyway, unlawful and wrong in a lot of ways. Similarly, here, I think, his basic statement is, you guys have really lost it. You are over the top. What are you even thinking of, trying to go against this state court sitting judge who your facts on are really weak, that she tried purposely to harbor the defendant and keep him from being arrested, as opposed to they're just not having a circus in her courtroom. But anyway, his presence that's the sort of big pop in and of itself, just that he's on it. And it basically expresses the notion of, this isn't a liberal issue. This isn't a conservative issue. This is an American issue. And you, administration, are really out of control. And that's what I think, as I was saying, from his own firm, he understands well the impact of his joining a case. He's doing it willingly. And I think it really speaks volumes, including to Republicans, the way J. Harvey Wilkinson's opinions did, that Paul Clement is on the team, not with the Trumpies, but with Judge Dugan. And they're clearly overextended effort here to make an example out of her as the, I guess I have to say, Attorney General, because she was confirmed, but, it almost pains me to say that of Pam Bondi, who's the, most unethical, unlawful, worst Attorney General of my lifetime by a long shot. Anyway, that's where things stand. Clement on the team, the administration probably shaken up, and hopefully a lot of Republicans saying, Clement's here. Maybe I should rethink whether they're being, really wrong in a very basic way. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.